Welcome everybody to Otter Talk for the Diamond League. Here in week 2, I will be your host for this upcoming season, Isaac, and alongside me today are all members from our top two teams after week 1, Akuma Sabres and Final Boss Diamond. Introducing up first from Akuma Sabres, it is Violet. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm the support for Akuma Sabres. Not much else to say.
Well, with that, we'll also have from Final Boss Diamond, our other first place team, Walt. Welcome in.
Hello, I'm Walt. I'm all the ADC for Final Boss.
And finally, our third guest today, Muffin, also of Final Boss Diamond. Say hello, Muffin.
Hello. Hi, I'm the coach for our Final Boss Diamond team.
Great. It's incredible to have you all here. And so to start us out, we are already on the screen right now, but the predictions for the upcoming match after Otter Talk between TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique, it seems to be that we're all in unanimous agreement with this one, guys. Anyone want to comment on that? Why we all think it's 2-0? What are your thoughts behind that?
I mean, even though they have two jungle mains on that team, I think they'll still probably take the win.
All right.
I think TPF pretty weak team. Not to be mean, but they might be one of the weaker teams in the league.
We'll have a little bit more on that later, actually. And any final thoughts? Any other things on the prediction before I also have my thoughts on that? I want to hear from our players and coach on why they think 2-0 Grown Boys Clique.
I think they don't pick a lot of good champs. No offense. I think that maybe the meta read is wrong or the player read is wrong, but it's hard to get ahead when you are playing comps that are not like synergistic or picking champions that are not very strong right now.
All right. Well, I guess that's not all too surprising considering they did have a sub 20-minute win in Game 3 last week, being actually the fastest game so far in, the season as well as Week 1. But moving on to what would probably a bit more interesting with the power rankings up next. Now with the two final boss members here, you both agreed that Final Boss Diamond number 1 and 2 to 10, it doesn't matter. They all suck. Are your words. I like the audacity, but do expound.
Pretty accurate. I mean, I can't be asked to rank everybody else. Doesn't matter. We're going to be on top, so.
All right. Muffin, are there anything to add on that?
I don't know. I think any team that did 2-0 first week is not worth thinking about. And there's only one other team that 2-0 first week, and they're not worth thinking about. So it's not that big of a deal.
All right, and moving on to Violet. Your thoughts on power rankings. On the other hand, you had a little bit more of a extensive list on your power rankings, which had a slight, I guess, deviation from mine. If you any highlights of your power rankings going through on that, do you want to go over?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I think Sabres, obviously, number 1. Well, I'm from the team, right? So I have to support my boys.
Understandable.
I also think a lot of these teams are looking basically like Emerald teams. I hate to say it.
Oh, okay.
It's like some of these teams are good. I like to say like Omega Goobers they look kind of good. I played against a lot of their players. They're like solid players. Same goes for like Mars. I haven't played against Grown Boys Clique, but they look solid. I don't know. I'd have to watch them play. Maybe I'll see tonight, right?
Yeah, well, luckily for you, we do actually have them on stream coming up. We will have that VOD available for you afterwards if you do want to see them play. That will be available. I was largely in agreement, but there's some slight differences between ours. You had XG Leviathan at 5th. I actually had them down at 8th. I'd like your thoughts on XG Leviathan because as it being the league, I'm not as familiar with these players. I not at this level of League of Legends. So perhaps you have some enlightenment on XG Leviathan.
Oh yeah, so we played them last week, right? Obviously, it was
Yes.
a bit of a stomp. But I think they're better than it seems, and I think playing against Sabres will make you look a lot worse than you are. Like I don't, I think they're a solid team. I don't think they're the best team. I don't think they're the worst team. I think they're a solid, like middle of the pack. And they put in a Koyesh, and I like that guy. He played pretty well against me in finals last time. Did 3-0 him, but
Yeah.
he's still a good player. Yeah, I mean, I think they should be okay. Yeah, I think if they bounce back, if they're not completely tilted after their loss.
after what was a pretty comprehensive Akuma Sabres performance there last week.
Only gonna get worse for them.
It's
You guys play them?
Yeah,
for
we played them
XU.
today. It's
Oh,
a
you
0-4
do?
angle. Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
well, I guess we should get your thoughts on XD Leviathan if that since it is relevant for you two, Muffin and Waltz.
Walt, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably destroy them too. So they're not going to have
Yep.
a good showing today. And then I guess hopefully they can bounce back. But
Well,
again, it does not matter what the other teams do. So
Back half of the
well,
season,
I
maybe.
have a little question for you, Wall, about actually Leviathan and their ADC, specifically Idris. If you have any thoughts on them, I mean, was a kill leader in season 11 in Blue Water Diamond. I don't know if you had any opinions or any insights what we might look forward to from Idris in this upcoming season, maybe.
honestly, I don't really do the scouting for the team, but all I know is that in the stats this week, it's only after one game, our entire team's in the top 20. So for the highest rating. So again, I don't think it matters.
All right, Muffin. Do you do the I because you're the coach. I don't know how final bosses run, but perhaps the coach would do the scouting, maybe in
You'd
this
hope so.
setup. You'd hope so. Do you? do you do the scouting?
I do think. I mean, a lot of what we try to do is player run, which is to say that a lot of our players work very hard to try and figure out how best to win the series and how to play the series out. So I do provide a lot of insight, and I try to provide as much information as possible. But we also have an inside man this week.
Ooh,
In that our support knows the enemy team, so it does make it a little bit
okay.
easier for us.
That's nice. It would have been nice
As
to
far
have
as
him,
Idris
but
is concerned, I think he's probably hoping he'll be in the double-digit kills this week. But I mean, if he got 5 kills last week, I think he's probably not getting a lot more than that.
He got
all
5.
right.
He got 5 total. Yeah. It's not a great. I mean, his
I will.
support also died 11 times in the first
Yeah,
game.
that
But
was me.
that's just a
He's
classic.
welcome.
That's a classic Nautilus game. I've done that in Grandmaster games. So
I think
let's
if
be
any,
honest.
yeah, let's be honest. I've played my fair share of Nautilus, and I think 11 kills is probably definitely on the. I mean, 11 kills, 11 deaths is definitely on the higher side of deaths I've received in a game. But I've definitely been up
Or you need to
there
play
with
more Nautilus
Nautilus.
then.
I mean, we all have bad games, right? Sometimes you have a mental boom
And
as well
you're
as the other opponent being better than you, and it's just a combination of both things exacerbating itself, and it's obviously not the best situation to be in. But yeah, no. Any other thoughts? Any big differences from what I've noticed? In at least the two complete lists of power rankings that we had. One thing I noticed, Art of War Esports being down there in 9th in your power rankings, Violet, despite them coming off 2-1 victory last night.
As you can see, the people that gave us last place team, so I don't think it means a lot to won them, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
congrats to them, for winning. I don't take that away from them, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Wait, what? I got a question for Violet. What puts us at 6th on your list? Out of curiosity.
Out of curiosity, why am I not on your list? Smile.
I mean, I'm sure you'll make it there.
I'm
at
sure
some
we
point.
will dunk on you guys.
Hey,
It's not a huge
it's
issue.
it's okay. We can say words. I don't mind too much, but I'm just curious because you did make a comprehensive list, whereas ours is maybe more comprehensive in that I think everybody else is terrible. Um, but what makes you think that we're sixth place as opposed to being better than XG Leviathan? So your thoughts would be that they would beat us in this matchup.
Yeah, I think they will. Okay. I don't think it's gonna be like. I don't think they're gonna like. I don't think you're gonna stop them. I don't think they're gonna stop you. I think it's like 2-1 either way. I just
If
put
we
them there
stop
because
them,
we
then
played
what?
against them. I don't really. No offense. I don't know you guys, right? I
That's
haven't
fair.
played against
Sure.
you. All of these people, other than like Grown Boys, I've played against like Omega Goobers and Mars, and so I have some idea of what's going on. So I think past number 3, I don't really know those people, other than XG, of course. But I placed them because we stopped them.
At
That's
the
fair.
very least.
Well, I'm
At the
hoping
very.
for an update
Nope,
next
go ahead.
week.
Sure.
We'll see.
Well, on the subject of familiarity with Final Boss Diamond, one of their returning players who played in a Blue Otters Diamond League last season, the mid laner LL Cool J, one of the top performers last season in Diamond, in the Diamond in general. I believe he was also the highest ranked inside of our interior stats mid laner last season. Can you at least can you dap up your boy Muffin and Waltz as well?
My
How,
goat.
how your goat? All right, let's
Well,
how much dapping up can we do?
Yeah, I
Let's
mean
see here.
our jungle mid is gonna be untouched this season. So
Probably accurate. I think that to be honest, my number one shout out here goes out to Walt because I think it would be it's a mental challenge to queue up with death every game, and for him to do it every series is he's a warrior. So shout out to Walt. But I do think unironically, I think Evan is insane. LL Cool J, he's a really good player. Um I think Zaki is probably I mean if he's unknown to the scene, he will be known within the next little bit. Let's put it that way. Um and then we have Big Shaq in the top lane. I don't know how much else there is to say about that. I think the whole team is we're just built, you know?
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. And I guess a 7-0-9 game 1 on Kane would definitely start to put your name on the map. I actually had that on my notes of things of why I had Final Boss Diamond in second. We're going to eventually get to Shocky as well, since personally I am unfamiliar with it, but you did my job for me. That is thank you for that.
Nah, he's nuts. He's really good. He is a scary player. So I would keep your eyes open on him.
All right. So, going on to our hot takes, you were all asked for one. Muffin, I don't know if you have one available, but it does kind of go back to our power rankings a little bit. Actually, I'll start out with mine since it's not as involved. I said Art of War Esports will qualify for playoffs. Violet, Violet. I know your power rankings. You can feel free to flame me with that hot take. Of why you had them, since you had them 9th on your power rankings. If
Hey,
you have any
I'm a
thoughts on that.
believer. I like underdog stories. Okay, like if they make playoffs, then I'm happy for them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
I don't have
okay.
anything against that take.
All right. Well, the other two, if you have any thoughts on that before we get into your other hot takes, since they are kind of combined together. Muffin, Waltz, anything?
Walt, what was your hot take?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it since Violet and Waltz are very closely linked together.
Oh, my hot take? I honestly think Zaki might go deathless again today.
Okay. Big up Zaki. All right. Deathless in last week, Deathless again in week 2 up against XG Leviathan. I'd love to see it. Just to see that come through, and just to even put Jockey's name further on the map for us to take note. I'd love to see it. But now, one we were looking forward to, one thing that I've been kind of hiding, is that the hot takes from Violet and Waltz. Now, they are very closely linked, so I don't want comments from anybody else until both have been said. We'll start with Violet.
Oh, you want me to say it or?
Yeah, what was
Oh
your
yeah,
hot
okay.
take that you
I don't
sent
think we'll
in?
drop a single series. And I wanted to say not drop a single game, but you know Sabres, right? It's like we always
Yeah,
drop one randomly.
I've seen a few Sabres games last season. Yeah. Oh right, and so that's your hot take, Waltz. What was your hot take that you sent in?
I mean, I asked whether or not this was a Diamond League, and then I look at Sabres' team, and they have 3 Masters on them, sitting at 150 LP. So, yeah, it's my hot take, I guess.
Yeah. So thoughts,
the take?
Violet.
I'm not sure what the take is. Is it? I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, I guess we climbed kind of crazy near the end of the season. You know.
Right.
Okay.
That makes
All right.
total sense. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I think that may have been a little bit touchy, a little bit more than I would have thought. So we're actually going to move on
No, it's
from
okay.
that.
I understand.
Understand? Okay.
Yeah,
As long as there's no
it's
as long as there's no legitimately like bad blood
No, I'm
between
not.
you two.
I
Like
get
trash
that,
talk
yeah.
is great.
No bad blood. No bad blood.
I think
Okay.
every single league has people who are high elo players who wind up queuing up for a league, a competitive team, and get absolutely stomped. And I don't think there's any difference here. So I'm not too worried about it.
Got it. Got it. Well, that
Yeah,
with that.
there was no bad blood, and then you had to drop that, bro. Like,
It's okay. I don't play the actual game, so it's easy for me.
So it's absolutely okay. Got it.
It was
Got it.
100 just fire stock. What are you gonna do? Flame my players? They're not me, man.
nah, I don't flame. I'll just win. It's okay.
It's okay. I'll see you in solo queue.
You will?
Probably not, actually. That's okay.
I don't queue up this game.
Well, with that in mind, we are going to move on to what will probably be the final segment of this this Otter Talk. Our teams to watch for this upcoming week. Violet, you had Omega Goobers.
Yeah, I think they're a fun team to watch. I think I saw Joss and Anthony. They had lane swapped, so that's an interesting thing to see. I know Anthony was a mid laner and Josh was a support, so that'll be like. I'm kind of surprised, but I'd like to see it. It's always cool when that happens.
Yeah, I wasn't actually aware of that, so that's another interesting tidbit for me to note down on the future. Thank you for that information, by the way. That's very enlightening for not only me, but everyone who might be tuning in. I also had Omega Goobers, mostly because they won picking Master Yi last week.
Oh yeah, my boy Source
No,
yeah.
Probably
he's a
want to
no
ban
TP.
that, guys.
Yeah, it's
We
actually
made a
unbelievable.
mistake. We didn't ban it 3 games. Yeah, in our last tournament, so maybe ban that champ.
Yeah, if Source is getting Yi and competitive, it's just like it's an auto win. It's disgusting.
That is any thoughts, Muffin, since Walt tuned in? Bleep this out.
On just teams to watch?
On Omega Goobers and perhaps Master Yi, but any of their other picks, they also decided to go with
Master Yi,
Xerath support.
absolutely. You know what? Honestly, we leave it open. That champ
Dude,
is
that's the coach response. I
mega
swear, dude, that's always the coach response. They're like, guys, it's just Master Yi. That champ never wins in comp. And you play against it? No, you're good. I
It's
swear
okay.
it'll happen to you.
I hear you. It makes sense. The thing is, I agree with you. I actually think that's the coach response. I think most coaches are like, nah, my teammates can actually play, but like, you try to lock Master Yi into Zaki, good luck, have fun. Your entire jungle's gone. You're getting permadove. You are playing Master Yi, a champion with no CC and no mobility, and you're having to farm camps while the enemy jungle's taking your entire nexus. Like it's just not playable. I guarantee it.
Well, I am now looking forward to the the final boss Diamond Omega Goobers series when it comes along. But not only the Master, even though that was the most out there pick for sure. They also locked in Xerath and Mordekaiser in the same game. Not only was Xerath, it was Xerath support as well in game 1. So I thought that was a very interesting take, and as I mentioned, it was a game that they won. So that's what I'm looking forward to. However, Waltz, you had a different team than Omega Goobers as the team to watch.
Yeah, I said us, but I'll also add Mars in the 4 wards. Grey Dog
Okay.
having 90% kill participation across 3 games and still losing the series is quite insane. So I'm hoping that they can bounce back today.
That is pretty wild.
They put Mars back in. Do you see that? They named the team after him. He didn't play week 1, but now he's back. Let's go.
I always got with Mars on the 4 wards. My brain immediately linked them to, I don't know how familiar you are guys with Frankie Valley and the 4 Seasons. Is this too old of a reference for to go over the audience head, or?
Yeah, I think we might all be Zoomers.
I'm
Sorry.
drawing a blank. Sorry.
No, it's all
There's
right.
yeah. Elevator
This
went
is,
up. There's nobody home in the penthouse, brother.
can't take my eyes off you. Song? Does anyone recognize? No? Am I? I'm. Anyway, that was where my brain went to. I this went back to my hot take as well. I put in another of my teams to watch as like separate thing. Art of War Esports. They won with an Alawi pick last week. Any thoughts on that? If that can continue, or if it will be exposed very quickly in the upcoming weeks.
It's just a counter pick. It's decent, but like you pick Alawi into tank players, and if you pick Alawi into a good player, you just can't play the game. It's like Master Yi. It's actually exactly like Master Yi. I believe it. Leave
Never
it
get
open if you
baited
want
by what
to.
a
You get
coach will
stomped
say.
by it. Coach says it's fine. You lose. But like also at the same time, sometimes you lock in Alawi and enemy counter picks you, and you just can't play the game. You get dove. Like your champ is useless to level 6. What are you supposed to do?
Understandable. Well, all right, that was everything on the schedule. We do have quite a bit of time before the games begin, though, so we have a lot of time for the shoutouts coming in. We'll start with you, Violet, since you're the one on Akuma Sabers, the only Akuma Sabers member in tonight.
Yeah, I'm hitting 2v1 right now. It's crazy. Sorry, who am I? Like, I can shout out anybody?
Anybody. Even
Oh.
yourself, if you have like socials or something. Go ahead.
No, I gotta shout out my ADC, Matt G, bro. That guy's my goat. He's my Emerald goat, or no, my D4 goat.
Awesome. Anything else you got before I ask the other two?
Actually, screw it. I'll shout out my whole team. They're all good.
Even Sun and Stars, or especially Sun and Stars?
Oh, especially Sun and Stars. Except, dude, I will come back to the team call and they'll all say, dude, why'd you shout at yourself? You're a noob. So I'm trying.
Don't sell yourself short. I know you didn't get to play last week, but hopefully we'll be able to see you.
No, I did play last week. I was
Did
there.
you? I thought it was
Yeah.
Sun and Stars who was in support for.
Yeah, that's my IGN. I use different Discord name. This used to be my IGN like a while ago, and then I just never.
I didn't even realize I had it marked down as something different because I was told Walt would be in here, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
I was. Funny thing before this, I was looking at the in the Akuma in the rosters. I was like, Akuma Sabers, Walt. Who's Walt? Whatever, we'll go with it. But I've been exposed as a host.
No, it's all good.
I'm not beating the allegations of the unprepared host at this point, but I guess I shouted you two out then, Walt, as well. I got your back because you're getting 2v1'd here. But now over to the Final Boss Diamond members. Anything you got to say? Any shout outs to whoever you might want? It could be Jockey again as well, because we love Jockey around here now.
Yeah, Muffin, you go first.
Shout out to our boy Hierarchs for putting the team together. Without him, there is no final boss. I guess that he is truly the final boss if you think about it. Otherwise, shout out to our opponents. I am willing to foot like maybe 10% of their hospital bills after these games because they're gonna need it. And otherwise, yeah, I think the mental suffering they're about to go through is a bit depressing. My team is just gonna smash. Shout out to the entire team.
All right, Walt, or not Walt.
Yes, it's me, Walt.
Yes, it is Walt. I'm really not beating the allegations of unprepared host at this point. Yikes. Yes, Walt. Anything you've got to say before we get ready for TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique?
Shout out to my number one fans, Nick and Isaac from RTT, and then also my girlfriend for letting me play the game. And yeah, that's it.
That's it. All right. I guess that's where we're going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Otter Talk. We still have a little bit of a break before we get into TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique, but we will be live with the draft. I'll actually also be there if you can't get enough of my voice with me and Alt Battery on that cast. But until then, don't go anywhere, and we'll hopefully see you next week for our next installment of Otter Talk. And we are back for game 1 between TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique here in Blue Otter Diamond League. I'm Isaac. Alongside me is Alk Battery, bringing you the cast tonight. Welcome in, Alk
Awesome.
Battery.
It's been good. I'm not gonna lie. I forgot that the time zones are in EST. So as a Pacific Standard Time person, I was like 7:15. I've got like 3 hours. Check the clock. I've got 20 minutes. So I was like, oh, thankfully I was already doing all my prep for today, so didn't have to really go out of my way. I just thought, maybe I could get in a couple more TFT games before the match tonight. But we're already kind of partway into draft here with the first 3 bans for both teams. And what we've seen for Tempest is sort of a similar story to what we got from them in their match last week up against Art of War, where they were kind of sitting more similarly with these bans, similar to what I think Kediment actually went up when they were playing against Grown Boys Clique, which was going to be the Gwen, the Zillion, and the Nasus. So interested to see that strategy may hold for the entire season so far.
Yeah, and it does make a little bit of sense. Drid on the side of Grown Boys Clique is a bit of a Gwen jungle aficionado, so not giving a lot of comfort picks away, especially ones that you might not be familiar with, like the Gwen jungle or the Zillion support.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a bad idea for game 1, but as in terms of picks, we already got our 2 ADCs coming out through. No real surprises here so far, Alk Battery.
I wonder what our mid lane situation is going to be, right? Just because the Jhin coming in for first pick, I think, similar to what was said on Otter Talk, I think that the draft priority for Tempest has not necessarily been the greatest, especially in a reflection of their series last week. I think specifically their game 3 with the blind Kog'Maw answered into Ziggs, then Nasus and Vi just didn't look amazing. And we are getting some newer players from last week. If I do look over at Gothboy Clique, they are moving, Grown Boys Clique. I don't know why I'm thinking the other match, but they are moving in with Nightmare instead of I Don't Care, which I think is a pretty interesting one. And for me, seeing Crimson start in the roster here for the side of TPF Tempest is kind of cool, just because we did see Immortal last week, and he was playing some of the Aatrox, did end up playing that Veigar, and I think he actually had a really cool champion pool going into the week.
Yeah, and Crimson, maybe not exactly the most exciting mid lane champion pool ever, except for one thing that I hope we might get to see at some point, especially since we are in this season of Blue Otter League, have fearless drafts for our series, is at some point I hope we get to see Vel'Koz from Crimson.
You want to see a Vel'Koz game?
I want to see the players on their best champions, and Crimson has played a lot of Vel'Koz very successfully in solo queue, and I'd be curious to see as to how that transfers into an organized environment here in Blue Water League.
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly a ton of tanks in the game right now, and depending on when and where we see Nautilus, I think in potential, that alongside maybe a Braum, we'll see. I think that's maybe an answer for another game here, as now we've gotten to the second phase of draft. I think for Grown Boys Clique, I love the focus on Hecarim and Azir. It does mean that this duo won't have the most upfront damage coming into 2v2s, like something with a Xin Zhao, and depending what TPF are going to pair this with. But so far, I think with what their comp has, I kind of like the idea that they're going for. I wonder what they're going to be looking in terms of top lane options here, just because you already see the Gnar, and I wonder if TPF Tempest are going to try to play so they can protect Chief in the top lane, or if they're maybe going to be doing something a little bit spicier, because we do know that both of these supports have a little bit up their sleeves. I think, more importantly, that Zillion takeaway is really important for both of these two supports. So I'm wondering what we're going to get out of these two, and especially in a fearless draft where engaged supports are incredibly limited, you only are going to be able to play that Nautilus, that Alistar once, right? So really important to see which game that comes out in.
Or in the case of our bans, Leona getting taken away by TPF Tempest, showing a little bit of priority on Nahor's champ pool a little bit there. Also, just being a generally strong pick. But yeah, also going back to the Azir and Hecarim pick, what I do kind of like about that is not only that that it has that explosiveness to it later on, but it's also it's the comfort zone for Shonku and Drid. as well. Obviously, not being able to get the Gwyn jungle is like the most good
True.
champion. But Hecarim is very, and it's the horse synergy coming out for the side of Grown Boys Clique.
Oh, we've got all of them. Is there another horse champion in League? I mean,
I don't
maybe
think
if you want to play like, if you play like the High Noon Senna, she has like her,
She has horse,
her home guards. Yeah, her home guards
Unfortunately, we
animation.
will not see Senna this match no matter what, even though with the rail pick, I doubt we would.
Correct. She is banned for right now, so maybe we see her in another game in the series. But interesting. I didn't get to top on this, but Maokai here. We did see a Maokai support coming in from Death last week. I'm pretty sure that ended up being a loss. I can just double check real quick. It was a win for FBD, so kind of interesting in their last game up against Elysium. Now here for TPF Tempest, what is their mid lane pick? Because we've gotten rid of the Syndra, the Ahri. Last week we got to see a little bit of some more of the mages, but with a different pick here. Is this Jhin mid? Or is this going to be Kog'Maw mid? And if it is Kog'Maw mid, I think we have a lot of interesting stuff going into Azir.
I would guess that it's Kog'Maw mid. I've definitely seen, at least in the past, AP Kog'Maw was kind of a thing for a bit, especially G2 I know liked to play it a bit a few years ago. So I would have to suspect that it's going to be Kog'Maw mid, but we will have to wait and see in that regard. As Malphite, the rock solid pick in the top lane for the side, Grown Boys Clique.
Well, this game is very easy to play if you are the Grown Boys Clique. I think the Malphite being able to give them such instant engage is going to be really strong. You have a lot of immobile champions on the side of TPF Tempest, especially with that Jhin and the Kog'Maw. So now I am interested to see how TPF Tempest are going to be able to kind of fight back here in this draft, because they're going to have to play it a little bit fast and loose. And when we talk about the kind of archetypes that they've drafted themselves into, Ezreal and Azir are going to, for the most part, have overwhelming range advantage, and where we need to see TPF Tempest kind of push the game is if they can find and engage with the Maokai. If, you know, maybe Gnar has a crazy flank with the Mega Gnar ultimate, or if Xin Zhao is able to really position himself in a manner that makes it difficult for Grown Boys Clique to put down damage or put it onto a meaningful target, especially if Xin Zhao is going to be throwing up the ultimate, can be very dangerous. But I think from the get-go, from the jump, TPF Tempest have a mountain to climb, no pun intended here.
I didn't even catch. I would have completely missed the Malphite pun. If I'm a bit slow on that. But
okay.
No, either way. Yeah, I TPF Tempest, it's a little bit of a concern because they are outranged. I would have to say maybe Kog'Maw, if that is on the AP side, can do a bit of damage from range from the living artillery. Can get you that slight extra range, but other than that, I do agree largely with the struggles that TPF Tempest might be seeing coming through with this composition. But before we send it to the spectator delay, any final thoughts, Alk Battery? Anything you want to build on there, or?
I had this kind of set up before the show, but Red Side is 10-13 coming into this week. We had 13 games last week, so it's a 77% win rate coming in for Red Side. Not looking good there. And also, this is just generally for the league. Where is Smolder? We've only had 2 games of Smolder. It won both games, but I want to see more of this champion. I think especially in a fearless setting, you're playing best of 3s, just get the Smolder out of the way pretty quickly into a draft and see where that kind of goes. But that's kind of all I've got for right now.
I have a quick comment on the Smolder, is that it is fearless, and if we got 2 games, that's 2 out of 5 series. And
I want to see more. It should be. It's not even in the bans on a lot of the cases.
Okay,
like, no one's even pretending to hover.
I wanted to like press. It's like, was it banned? Because there's the potential. Series. Never mind then. Well, yeah. I would have to agree on that. But with that in mind, I will say it is actually going to be the Kog'Maw mid, as we suspected it would be the case. But with that in mind, we will send it to a spectator delay. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back for game 1 between TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique. Don't go anywhere. And we are back for game 1 between TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique in the Blue Otter Diamond League. For those just tuning in, I'm Isaac. Alongside me is Ulk Battery here for game 1. We already have some antics down here in the bottom lane. Joshua, or I guess Forshua, crashed down. Will force the flash. Start out here straight away, Ulk Battery.
Wow, and it looks like they're going to continue to invade. Honestly, I love this. Being able to stop Maokai's early setup with these saplings, perfectly fine, slows down the clear. And Maokai is a champion that has been, receiving nerfs on nerfs, trying to take him out from competitive play.
Nice one.
So, thing that I think will have to be noted here as they're kind of getting out of this early invade and moving back into their side of the jungle is that there is a counter here.
Cabril and Jeef are prepared for this. Drid will be taken down to about half health to start out this encounter. Now down to a quarter, should still be okay for now in terms of going down and giving away an early first blood. But I'll throw it over to you temporarily, as they're not quite out of this exchange yet.
Okay, Malphite can't do anything here. Malphite is surely just here to gain vision. Like he can't. Like Carbill just smites this. No.
Say that Cabril's going low. Does flash. Nutty Nate following. Should be able to get out of the way there though. Malphite did start the E, so won't have the cheese wheel to follow just yet. So a few more flashes going down across the map. Already within 2 minutes here in game 1.
I'm just flabbergasted just because that early game start for Drid should mean that he is behind in the jungle clear, especially if Carbill was actually able to take the Raptors. But because of Malphite, well, for one, starting E is already kind of like really sad, especially if you're going to be playing this poke Malphite into a level 1, level 2 Gnar. You're just not going to have any presence in the first 2 or 3 waves. But Drib should be behind. But now because Carbill had to lose the flash, had to walk all the way to their side of the jungle, loses so much time and allows for Hecarim to... it wasn't like he was out of the game to begin with, but it kind of ushers him back in and allows Drid to have a really, really strong opener here on this Hecarim, almost as if nothing really happened, but he's maybe 200 HP, not as healthy.
Yeah, and we're already starting to see that straight away a little bit. Drid slightly up on that farm ahead of Cabril, as well as Cabril, especially being on such a champion that requires to fight a lot early on without that flash. Going to definitely delay what Cabril wants to do around this map in the first few minutes here, just that much more, and we'll have to see how the side of TPF Tempest does account for that, see what they can do.
Yeah, for the time being, what we should be expecting is for Carbill and Crimson to utilize their mid push. You should always be able to have early chunk damage. You already see right now, Shanku is taking a little bit of a trade. That Scorch is definitely doing a lot alongside the Arcane Comet. So at any point that Carbill wants to invade for a Raptors or play for Scuttle, should be expecting for his mid lane to be able to help there. And really big thing for me is going to be seeing how both of these teams are able to leverage that into some Grubs playsage. We've seen different teams. I think last week I was kind of upset by seeing Renekton top lane not get all 6 Grubs. It kind of defeats a lot of the purpose of the early game strengths of this champion. And when you have a poke-centric Malphite,
Drid might be going for this. Crimson's getting chucked down to about 3rd health. Shanku's close in tow. Crimson flash away. Cabril is here now. No. Shanku going low, flashing away. Will force that out. Ports roaming up just in time. Drid going low. Drid not quite going down just yet. No. A bit of a missed target. Won't come back to bite them, as it is 2 kills going over to the side of TPF Tempest. Grown Boys Clique at the very least picking up 1 back out of a very unfortunate situation now.
That's such a good opener for them, being able to find those 2 kills. You also got the flash out of Shanku, so now without flash, without teleport, this mid lane is something that they could potentially go to revisit in the times being. Nutty Nate. Okay, the trade does end up going even.
Yeah, it was definitely something to return to, especially as Shanku doesn't have all that much mobility within the next few minutes. Cabril here on that ward will be able to dissuade that gank, and I will have to look back towards that mid lane once again. That being said, we're not over just yet. Cabril going low in a 2v3. Actually, as a matter of fact, say 2v3.
They win this.
Madrid is here now. Sir Snoop's not aware of that, and that's a fairly easy kill going up the side of Nightmare with the assistance from the jungler of Grown Boys Clique.
I mean, Josh was just not anywhere near to be able to deal damage. Carbill already kind of did the most in what he could do by just walking up and kind of taking a little bit of damage, ends up escaping. Pretty big win. They get a kill there. They only have to use their Ignite in that moment, so turns out into a pretty small victory. I wonder if that's going to be turning them... Yes, it is going to turn into a dragon there. So 5.5 minutes, we're going to have our first dragon here for the side of Grown Boys Clique. And what I want to continue to see from this team is how they can continue to kind of press this advantage that they're slowly starting to accrue in the jungle. Because Drid last week, I think, was a monster when we saw them on the Echo. And so now I kind of want to see in more of an evolution. Now that you are on the Hecarim, you are getting better in terms of your gold. You're going to continue to farm faster and faster.
Shanku's level 6. And that is the Emperor's Divide, taking down Crimson with the extra support from Nahor. Picking up the assist there, getting the kill onto the Kog'Maw, and actually taking the kill lead for the first time in this series.
Wow, and right there we get to see some of the ramifications of that earlier fight near the Raptors where they ended up losing Flash, and maybe we were saying, oh, Shanko without Flash, this could be a potential revisit here for Carbill, where this time, Drid saying, I want to play for Raptors. I'm going for the Raptors. I need to be able to move. Nahor moves up from bottom lane, and we even see that, hey, Crimson without the Flash, that's an easy punch. It's usually something that we see from the Azir, something that makes it so difficult when you are playing in a mobile mage, like something like a Kog'Maw or even our Orianna, if we're thinking more typically. Not having Flash means you're just going to get shuffled, and hopefully they bring back up.
Yeah, and that... Sometimes you take the words exactly out of my mouth. It makes it a bit easier. However, as we enter the bit of a pause, perhaps a bit of connection issue from Joshua here.
There we go.
Of course, we say that we are right back. Sorry, Wookie, for the the sudden change of circumstance there. Right as soon as you're proactive with trying to send it to the draft screen, we are back immediately. But with that, I will say, oh wait, hold on, before anything else comes through, that will be the unstoppable force used by Nutty Nate. Short delay because of League Spectator things in the previous pause.
I love League Spectator.
Nutty,
there we go.
League Spectator things, you know. It shouldn't be enough to find the kill just yet, but it will take Chief very low. Carbill actually is here. Here to try to find Nutty Nate. I'm not sure there's much he can do with Chief being as low as he is. Carbill's still trying to fight this out a little bit more, but yeah, Chief's just way too low of HP to find anything there. I do like the ambitious mystic shot of why did I say mystic shot? The true shot barrage, trying to find the kill onto a low Chief there, but not going to quite do that.
And I'm kind of interested as to why Carbill even kind of made that pit stop. You already invested a little bit of your time doing the Void Grubs, and so now he's going to be taking a reset, has all of his topside camps up, and wondering if this is going to turn into potentially looking for something bottom lane once he finishes all these camps. He's going to be there at about 2 minutes before the Drake is spawned, and so you're kind of setting up to try to take away some summoner spells.
Oh, another Emperor's Divide from Shanku will find Crimson once again without Flash. Not much you can do on that Kog'Maw as soon as Shanku comes running in at you. And with a slight assistance from his jungler, does manage to get that kill in the mid lane once again onto Crimson.
Great job from Drid right there, making sure that they are staying on timer for when this Kog'Maw's flash is up. So they got 2 ganks in, and they're able to help Shanku get a reset in here. He should either be looking to push out this wave and try to get, a small item advantage by taking the reset. And now that we're 2 minutes away from the dragon, these abilities are going to be up again before that dragon. So wondering now, they have 2 options. You can play for the dragon spawning in 2, or you can go for the Void Grubs, which are spawning in 3 minutes, and try to potentially take that away from your opponent. We'll see which one they opt for. Personally, I think a dragon stacking approach would be really strong, as so far we actually haven't seen for TPF Tempest actually hit most of these turrets.
Yeah, obviously the big advantage coming through the Void Grubs is that tower damage to be able to pick up the plates. I would prefer to say that it is Drid on this top half of the match and on the map, with Chief getting a little bit low. Perhaps actually not going to go for the dive there, but it was a potentially different point of view that I was hoping we might see from the side of Grown Boys Clique, but not much there, as Carbill is spotted out once again, and this gank won't come through in the way that he would have liked. Once again, this bottom lane, I mean, it's already a hard lane to gank as is.
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of just waiting for Maokai Ultimate, which is up and available, but you don't really have lethal at this moment. They still have Barrier. You still are playing against an Ezreal and a Rel, so particularly difficult for them to actually make anything happen at this moment. Something that I was actually watching I was watching Joshua's POV of their match last week, and the stark difference, I think, of having Carpil. I'm gonna hold that.
Unstoppable Force will land despite the flash. Chief goes down. And it was a little bit delayed from what I had said earlier, but but in the top lane, it will be a kill going over to the side of Grown Boys Clique.
Yeah, so right there, that should just be a plate for Nutty Nate, but as is, they really wanted to go for the Herald. Look at where the supports are right now. Nahor is bottom lane, and Sir Snoops, they're going to play to contest.
This first smite will come through on the side of Sir Snoops, getting that first Void Grub. Drid going low. Flash forward from Sir Snoops, getting that kill. A little bit late from Nutty Nate to really
They can get this on the
anything.
reconvene.
They can try. We do have a 3-for-3 coming in. Nutty Nate does not have the Unstoppable Force, though. Flash forward from Sir Snoops. Twisted Advance will lock him up and force an answer of the flash and ensure that 6th Void Grub goes over to the side of TPF Tempest.
Wow, okay, so not only to get the 3, but they also get those kills. Feeling pretty nice for themselves. Obviously, Chief going down right before that play should have meant for Grown Boys Clique, you're not going for this objective. I think also Nahor, unfortunately, not going for the play means that Sir Snoops is in a great position and able to utilize that Maokai. So there, they get the kills, they get all 6 grubs. But like I was saying beforehand, they haven't touched the turrets. All of these turrets are 5 out of 5 plates. Top lane's probably the most suspect in terms of its HP, and that's just because of Anar. But aside from that, you're still feeling strong, and now this could open up a timer here where we see Grown Boys Clique go for that second dragon, which is what we were kind of, or I was at least, preferring coming into that play.
Right on cue, they're moving in, even committing a teleport from Shanku. So I would suspect that this will be the dragon stacking going over to the side of Grown Boys Clique. Going to start that straight away, and yeah, definitely a danger point in the upcoming minutes for Grown Boys Clique. But at the very least, TPF Tempest, I did like their earlier skirmishes in and around the Void Grubs, and despite the fact that they had a numbers advantage, they managed to come out on top there. So even though dragon stacking is always a good thing, I'm curious to think how the future fights around this potential dragon stacking does play out for the side of Grown Boys Clique if they can slowly turn these skirmishes around into their favor with the
On one hand, it's a Cloud Soul, so the combat power, the combat effectiveness of a soul like this is not going to be incredibly high, but you have to think of how this affects the champions getting into lanes, right? Because once you're starting to move through jungle, your rotations are maybe 2 to 3 seconds quicker. Maybe someone's not expecting for Hecarim to be there in that time, especially with how much movement speed he already gets from his kit. And something for like Nahor, if Nahor is actually going to continue to look for roams, you know, these cloud rifts could potentially be a bit of a game changer. We'll see how much it ends up affecting it. We have the Herald spawning in 45 seconds, and I love this from Drid. Knows his bottom lane is kind of going for a reset. He has mid-prio, so just go through the bottom side jungle, try to scour, try to find some camps. Already has the Krugs here. Now is spotted and is by themselves. Has to use ult to be able to escape. Should be able to get out.
Yeah, I mean, it's on top of Ghost. That is one very fast moving horse in the probably 5 seconds. You ever just get curious about what the move speed is like on champions at certain moments in time?
I mean, like I've thankfully played every champion at least once, and Hecarim is a champion that I have at least, dabbled in a few times. I just like farming junglers in general, but Hecarim with a ton of movement speed is a lot of fun. Especially, again, we're on a Cloud Rift, is having that Ghost that will be up and available, and aside from that ultimate, and really the more impactful teamfight ultimates in the Azir and our Malphite, I think we're not going to be super sad about missing an Unstoppable Onslaught here coming out from Hecarim.
And as you're mentioning, it is on a very short cooldown anyway, coming back up almost instantly, but won't be available for a potential fight around this Rift Herald. Now teleports have been commit from the side of Nutty Nate, so we should at the very least get some sort of fight coming up. Shanku is here, is currently Sitting in for 4v4 supports roamed up for this as well. It's going to be the ult committed by Sir Snoops. Oh, I'm going to find Nutty Nate for now. Shonku taken down low, but there's just too much damage for Carbill, and he goes down early. No jungler for the side of TPF Tempest, and it is all going over to the side of TPF Tempest. Very dominant fight there. Going to find a little bit more, trying to get Crimson now under the tower. Not much he can do on the Kog'Maw. Will at the very least get the kill back onto Drid, but that's only a very small amount of consolation for what is a dominant fight for Grown Boys Clique, as well as the tower down there in the bot lane.
I think that what we saw from the solo laners here in this instance was really, really well played coming out from Grown Boys Clique. I think the fact that Nutty Nate ended up saving the ultimate, not necessarily being super hasty, they did still end up getting the flash out of the Kog'Maw anyway, and while Drid does end up going down, Nightmare is silently also putting himself in a really good position, not only grabbing that turret for themselves, but forcing Jhin to take a recall. They're getting more chip damage, they're able to kind of escape with a little bit more gold here. So all in all, Grown Boys Clique, I think, just in general, played that situation a lot stronger, and for TPF Tempest, they didn't have a ton of tools coming into the fight, and it still feels like they're still missing out on damage, especially when we think about this Kog'Maw. AP Kog'Maw can be very strong, but you're very item reliant in that sense, so you're not really able to get a lot of autos, kind of just get free damage as you would instead of having to use your abilities, and so it's going to be a little bit before this champion is relevant. Just now hit the Malignants, but it still needs to be able to get the Seraph, still get a little bit more AP, and by all that time has already happened, I mean, Grown Boys are going to continue to gather their lead.
Gets smited by Drid, but here comes the rest of TPF Tempest in support. Twisted Advance will find Drid. Drid going down, and that will be it for that exchange. I say that, but Chief is moving a little bit forward, a bit dangerously. Should be fine for now. I say for now, mostly because we do have a Drake coming up in 15 seconds. That will be Sir Snoops using the ultimate a bit early. We'll find Nightmare. Carbill finding the one.
Okay.
Not used. That's a low. Ezreal going down, but what is the cost? Under the tower, Carbill going low. Sir Snoops now also picking up about 4 tower shots that were already empowered. Flash forward from Nahor to ensure that they can find the kill. Nutty Nate getting that kill over on the side of Sir Snoops off screen there, and it is another dominant fight going over the side of Grown Boys Clique, just about perfectly played here on the red side.
That's just, it's so bad. Like, Drid, I think probably a little too far up in the jungle there, gets ended up turned on, and then we just see the entire team just collapse. Again, TPF Tempest going way too far. The thing I was trying to reference before while we're waiting for this dragon take from the side of Grown Boys Clique is the night and day difference of TPF Tempest with Carbill and without Carbill. Carbill, listening to the comms, was really, really active, really wanted to kind of spearhead the game around their own jungle advantage, saying, I want to play for these Raptors, how can we play for this? Hey, they're looking for an invade, can I get support here? And that alongside, you know, maybe a champion that isn't as aggressive as maybe like a Jarvan that they kind of got away with last week, kind of is showing up in spades. Carbill's trying to go for some objectives, but really isn't able to find too many finds on the Xin Zhao. He's having to play more of a reactive style, and we're seeing that kind of reflected in TPF's ability to actually take fights. A lot of it is based on, is the opponent making mistakes, and if they're not, then we're kind of in a screwed position.
Yeah, and I think they do. I think in these last few fights, Carbill has been a little bit too hasty, or like a little bit too eager is probably the more correct term. I mean, these few nature's grasps from Sir Snoops. Admittedly, I have to say they haven't really found anybody, and yet despite that, hold on, the tower is missed from Nahor under the tower. Now taking 2 tower shots, 3 tower shots. Joshua will find that kill with the assist from the tower, and Shelly won't find all that much tower damage into the mid lane. It is a huge blunder from the side of Grown Boys Clique early on. Well, maybe huge might be a slight overstatement, as
no, you can call it huge. It's okay. Down. Let them know.
Okay.
Let them know.
Know?
Literally, like you're playing Rel, right? Like Rel has the most telegraphed W of all time. You would think the champion or the kind of the Rift Herald having the most telegraphed charge of all time would lead into it hitting the turret, and that's just a mechanical failure. I think that's probably one of the reasons we flame support players, for just not having mechanics. It happens.
I can attest. I'm a support player. I don't have hands.
Okay. See, we have a
yeah.
testimonial from a support player, and we got to see it on your screen. So you're getting live testimonials and real footage of support players just not doing it. It's okay. He's just gonna land like a rail crash down with an ultimate, and that'll be the team fight, and we'll say, "Wow, great job." So we can kind of excuse this one for the time being. It does kind of cut their tempo with how they wanted to break open the mid tier 1 and then move in, grab vision, look for the dragons, keep making plays like this where they're having Nutty Nate come in from a side lane
on this
with ult.
mid lane. Nahor trying to find the stun.
Drid, what are we doing?
Drid going a little bit too far, for being completely honest. That will be Crimson getting that killed, so Drid going down a bit needlessly. So another questionable play from the side of Grown Boys Clique, even though if overall they do get what they came for in the mid lane. Now getting that tier 1 tower should open up the map just that much more for them without any sort of tier 1 turns available. That being said, the Deadly Flourish going to find Nightmare. We'll have the Arcane Shift and we'll be okay as a result.
Okay, so in kind of an instance where Grown Boys Clique make some pretty big mistakes individually, Drid, another senseless death, another one where he's going just a little bit too far, chasing for some kills, then means that we see Seanku actually move towards mid lane to try to match, and all this while, we finally get to see those 6 grubs come into hand, with Chief here taking that bottom lane.
The Gnar bar should be okay, especially with Carbill here safe and so, but now that Carbill's here, maybe they'll try to find a move on to Nutty Nate, and with Nutty Nate canceling his recall maybe a bit
nice,
ill-advised, we'll have to use the Unstoppable Force to get away, and we'll be fine.
Not bad. I mean, it does also have the Malignance, so the ult is on a bit of a shorter cooldown, 60 seconds available for that one. Not going to be probably missing it. Also is going to be having his flash come back up in a matter's time. Not super worried. Right now, what I'm kind of looking at is how are these side lanes being attended to? We did just see Chief push in a lot of the minions and the gold on the bottom side. So now with this Gnar kind of reaching 1.5 items, maybe, but the build he's actually going for is more of a Bruiser-esque style. With this Trinity Force, you're kind of looking to be more of a menace in the side lane, and you're just kind of too far behind at this point. I mean, Nutty Nate has 2 items. There's a Sunfire and a plated Steel Caps. These guys do no damage to him.
Think of doing not much damage to Nutty Nate. Carbill seems to try to find this one with Sir Snoops, but Seanku is here with an Emperor's Divide pushing the side of TPF Tempest away, but we've committing TP for this, and so this is actually a huge fight to start out. Chief in a bit of a sticky situation on the Gnar. Still mini Gnar should be not so tricky now. Drid going a bit too far forward just as Chief does get Mega Gnar, so first kill going over to the side of TPF Tempest, but a few of these health bars are low on the side of TPF Tempest, especially their front line, so they are now elect to move back after they only get that 1 kill.
Oh, okay, so huge problem here now. Huge problem. Not only is the dragon spawning, they really wanted Chief to be able to get a recall timer here, and in all senses of the term, you're thinking, okay, Drid's dead, we should be contesting for dragon if you're TPF Tempest, but now Carbill has the back reset, and also Crimson has no health.
Oh, Sir Snoops is going low. Not much anything the rest of TPF Tempest can do. Won't get that recall timer, as you were saying, as 2 members go down to this, go down on the side of TPF Tempest, and that does give Grown Boys Clique all they need to pick up a very quick Dragon Soul here in game 1.
Tempest, no, man! Your Kog'Maw used his entire mana bar to poke out, and we were seeing some of the advantages of this Kog'Maw is doing a lot of damage when they're actually able to build out a front line for him. When you're able to buy space for the Kog'Maw, it looks incredibly strong in the situation. But we're just seeing time and time again, they're either overextending, they're not taking space in the right spots, and for the side of Grown Boys Clique, despite a lot of mishaps around their jungler right now, they're playing really, really excellently. I thought last week we got to see a little bit more from Seanku, and really excited to see so far he's already kind of holding his own yet again in this game.
Definitely one of the, I was going to say better performance, but yeah, no, Sometimes you second to yourself and then it goes up. But yeah, Seanku definitely setting up, especially in the earlier portion of this game, a lot of advantages with that Emperor's Divide, and definitely
they can just do Baron really, really quickly. I mean, they have a Zir with 2 items. They also have this Hecarim who's ready to go. Yeah, so they're just going to start it. They want to try to pull either a Summoner spell or something here. Gnar is Mega.
Alright, so if there is a time to go, it is now, Chief.
Here we go.
Not moving so far forward. Cardbill will push others away, but there it is. You're saying Rel crashed down into Magnet Storm.
Oh,
Won't
no.
find enough on that, though. So first kill going over to the side of TPF Tempest, as the rest of Grown Boys Clique are pushed out. Nightmare still relatively healthy, though. So
Just cut
those
them off their
members
mid.
will
Just walk
move
mid.
away.
All right, cool. Just walk mid here, TPF. Please, I'm begging you. You do not care about the, like, Nahor finds a really great Rel engage, but there's just no damage. Nightmare is at the top side of the pit. We also have this Azir who's really not able to do a ton of damage, so ends up taking a lot in trade for not enough here. And finally, those 6 scrubs are going to pop in. We're going to get the mid-tier 1. It's going to be an objective bounty as well. So kind of starting to shore up a little bit of that gold lead. And what I want to see from Grown Boys Clique is some, you know, get cohesive with it. We're not even seeing them really kind of stack their layer, their ultimates, so we're not seeing them kind of coordinate in that sense. What I'm kind of getting at here is, I mean, TPF, they are kind of stumbling into a better game state right now. I don't think they're doing anything in particular that's causing or forcing these errors out of their opponents. And Drid, if you're going to keep getting caught, that's going to open up a potential Baron.
Carbill will find Shonku, but it's called an ambulance, but not for me, as Carbill's going low, going down. Not much support from the rest of the side of TPF Tempest for them to do for their jungler, and without their jungler, this will open Baron right up for Grown Boys Clique.
Okay, so like we said, stumbled into a victory, and now here we go. We have to take 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Carbill ends up getting caught out here, and for Grown Boys Clique, now we'll see what they can actually do. They don't have much of a wave on bottom side. Sir Snoops
stunned up. Taking only so far low for now, but with so many members of the side Grown Boys Clique, there's not much you can really do on that Maokai. You can go in, but you can't really get out at all, as it's put on display there. Another kill going on the side of Grown Boys Clique, even staggering those death timers to help with this mid push.
So how much can they get on this push? Because we have Dragon spawning in 2.5 minutes, and really what you would want to do is able to get maybe another turret here. Maybe we wait another wave, and then we look for our recall timers. We can retake space. It would give time for TPF Tempest to actually go and get vision on the bottom side of the jungle for this Elder Drake coming up. But as is right now, they push in mid, they take their tier 1, they put the Azir turret there as well to guarantee that the wave is going to be caught a little bit higher. It's going to take a little bit longer for TPF Tempest to actually push this out. I want to see them play for their side lanes. They've been really, really neglecting this the past couple minutes, playing for the Baron, playing for that mid wave. So now they need to, you know, they got to pay taxes. Now you got to go to side lanes, push them out, get your gold, spend it, come back out on the map and be ready for this objective fight in 2 minutes.
Yeah, but, and as you said, with 2 minutes, that does give a little, at least it does give a little bit more time for Crimson to get a few more items under his belt, sitting on an 8-stack Dark Seal as well. So going to have all that extra.
Secret agent
Do you see those recalls that just freak you out?
Just a little bit. It was a little scary.
Yeah.
It's one that there's been a couple where like you're sitting in the brush, the enemy is walking towards you, and you just back as soon as they walk into the bush. It's really, really terrifying. Now we get to see Grown Boys Clique playing on just this single lane. I actually love this from Drid, going mid, catching this so that the waves are going to crash at the same time.
But they do know that Drid isn't here. It'll be the curtain call opened up at a bit of an odd angle, as Grown Boys Clique can just walk out of that and get away for now.
No Meganar as well here. This is going to be the timer. They have a few seconds before they can find a fight.
It's going to be the timer, but he does find the Meganar onto Drid, but it's not going to be much of enough to find any sort of damage early on. A bit
nice.
I just not enough communication there, all over the place. I don't know what I'm looking for. Okay, that's the burn from Crimson. There on the back end, Living Artillery does at least find 1 kill in return, but the fight being a bit disastrous early on from side of TPF Tempest does at the very least mean that the Grown Boys Clique does take this mid inhibitor.
Okay, and that right there means not only is it that mid inhibitor that we were just talking about, I love the timing there for TPF. Unfortunately, just don't have enough damage. That is BS. I'm just going to say, I feel really bad for Chief. That should have just been a canceled recall timer there, but We can't have everything we want in this world. Elder in 5 seconds here, and there is no one in the vicinity. Again, they have Azir now, stacking with 3 items. Rabadon's is finished. You have this Ezreal and this Hecarim, who can just shred this objective. Gonna have to see if Carbil can put up a miracle on this fight.
That's what it's going to take here. 98 here as
Woo!
well. Not even going to attempt it, as they couldn't even get close with all this range. That'll be the Elder Drake going over to the side of Grown Boys Clique, and all he can really do on side of TPF Tempest is run away, but I was going to say maybe Drid does try to track down Crimson there with the extra move speed, but not much so far.
Elder Drake and plus the Malphite ultimate, I'd be a little bit worried here. This entire time, Chief.
Oh,
okay, we got the
Crimson
flash out of
will
Crimson.
flash away. We have a fight into the Elder Drake. Maybe a bit ill-advised or a bit unfortunate if you're on side of TPF Tempest. 2 kills early to start out this fight, and they can't even pick up Nutty.
Oh my
Drid
God.
still alive, 4 for nothing. Sean Q picking up the double kill. It will be the triple that will triple kill. Yes, they gave it over to the side of of Sean Q. And even though it is 2 members down on the side of Grown Boys Clique, getting the full ace with the wave pushing into the Nexus Towers, there's not anything you can do left here in game 1 as it goes over to the side of Grown Boys Clique.
Insanely great game from them. I think obviously a few too many errors for me to be super comfortable with, but I'm sure they're going to be happy with it, especially if I was the solo laners for Grown Boys Clique. I'd actually be really happy with how this game actually ended up playing out. Individually, I think Nutty Nate and Shanku had a very solid game, and while Drid had these flashes of really great jungle play, I think his pathing was excellent. You're not playing a tank. You know, you played a couple of situations like playing Sejuani, or you're playing Maokai. You're like, oh, I can just tank all this damage, but ends up going down a few times, slowed the game up there. It was 31 minutes in total. I think they could probably shaved off a little bit more time if we see them start to kind of sharpen the iron as we get further into the series.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see for game 2 and see if all of the predictions on our talk come true, but if a 2-0 to Grown Boys Clique, or if TPF Tempest can iron out quite a few of the mistakes that they've had there in game 1, but until then, we will be back with game 2 after this short break. And we are back for the draft of Game 2 between TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique here in Blue Water's Diamond League. And straight away, well, I was hoping we would get some Vel'Koz for Crimson, but straight away, Grown Boys Clique say no.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're just going to get the very similar bans. I think when we saw them for TPF, it was going to be the Gwen, Zillion, Nasus going into Grown Boys Clique, and for them, on their side, they ended up electing for the Vel'Koz, Varus, and Viego. So far, we have everything the same. We'll see what the last couple bands are going to be in. Again, for anybody who's just joining us or maybe is unfamiliar with the format, it is a best of 3 and with Fearless. So champions that you got to see last game, kind of you could see it a little bit on the draft UI for the show. It is gone. Those grayed out champions next to the bands are going to be champions that are no longer available. And so yeah, it looks like the bands are kind of staying the same here. We're getting another Varus ban. Expect for a Zillion ban to come on through. And for Grown Boys Clique, for TPF, they had side select. They opted for red side, and I wonder what they're kind of going to use for this. Are they going to try to get a counter, or just try to grab 2 really strong champions on red?
Well, I just have to wait and see. But until then, one thing I've noticed is all the V bands. How familiar are you with Darkmane Alt Battery?
I've seen a few videos, but it's been years.
Have you seen the get rid of all champions that start with the letter V because it's a bad letter?
Oh, there's no way all of these champions are bad champions.
No, they're not bad champions.
Vladimir's like a hateful champion.
It's just a bad letter. Letter V is just a bad letter.
Fair enough. I do not know that.
Roman Empire's in shambles because they can't count to 5 anymore.
There we go. There we go. That's what we were waiting for. So
being said, first picked away Lilia. We saw a bit of clearing from the side of Drid, and that early advantage there in the jungle. And I do believe with Lilia, they should be able to push that envelope once again this time around.
Now with Lilia, Lilia seems like she is kind of the winner of all the AP jungle nerfs after everybody kind of got removed, like Brand and Zyra. It seems like if you're talking about AP junglers, you're really only looking at Lilia for the most case, although we have some exceptions. Obviously, Drid playing Echoed last week I think was pretty awesome, but this is something that we got to see last week as well from Drid in their first game up against Mint. So interested to see what they're able to kind of pair around it. Last time around, they did have a different AD carry. That was the Draven OTP, Will Int, I don't care. And for Tempest now, playing a little bit more of an aggressive style. I like the Nocturne is someone that can get abused if we're trying to go for the power farm, just constantly clearing your camps on repeat and looking for a gank. I think has less kind of utility in the pre-6 before versus a Lilia. But if we're talking about just trying to get kills, trying to get resets for the Jinx, I like it as a pair. We need to see it with a strong support. You have to think already Rel is gone. We saw Braum get banned in the last game as well. So Nautilus, Leona, this is the kind of things that I'm kind of looking for to kind of round out their draft here in the first phase.
Yeah, that was going to be in my mind as well, was Nautilus and Leona, especially because they're both open ADCs and junglers as the pick. I would hope to see that we round out our supports here. And Zyra Khan, pretty normal in that regard. Obviously made for each other. Quite literally.
Interesting that they've gone for Zyra Khan. Xayah is a champion that I think is not particularly strong when you look at some of the better AD carries that we've been seeing on the patch. Certainly gets outranged by something like a Ziggs, but Ziggs is not going to really be a problem, I think, so far in this game. When we look at what TPF Tempest want, I think a Nautilus goes really, really well here. You're going to have a little bit of a harder time, I think, in the laning phase, but you also have to start thinking of Braum as a potential counter here as really, really strong into the Rakan. Also Leona. So almost all of the engaged champions in that kind of suite can be really, really strong here. And I think with a Syndra now, you have a very high potential to be just solo killing the enemy mid on repeat if they can find the right conditions.
If they can do that, but not only that, as you're saying, there just aren't enough bans from the side of Grown Boys Clique. Even if they take out Leona here and then assuming either Nautilus or Braum, that still leaves one of the 2 open. So at first I was slightly okay, they go for the mid lane pick instead, but actually think about it now, I do have to agree. I like the Syndra pick and the extra aggression and with the Nocturne. Should at the very least be fun to watch for us as casters.
Yeah. I was having a lot of fun, at least listening into some of the columns for TPF Tempest. I really enjoyed their mid laner, Immortal. He was kind of being a little bit more flagrant with some of the flame, and I think individually performed really, really well in their one win last week. So, interested to see what Crimson is able to pull out, as he is a different mid laner. They have two different kind of mid laners on here, and what I was kind of looking for, we look at the second phase of bans, specifically from Gromboy's Clique, Leona and Nautilus gone. So when you're looking at this now, you're thinking, okay, well, what mid laners can they kind of choose? I like the Yona and the Ziggs being banned away. I was wondering if we were just going to get the Orianna. It means you're kind of in like a warfare for who can get level 6 first and who's going to be able to land that amazing crowd control. But it does mean that Lilia is sharing some of that magic damage profile there. And still, we're going to have to see what top laners are going to be going for here. TPF Chief, someone that has not been super aggressive in the laning phase. We, I think, got to see some of his best games on the Renekton last week. But if you look at just their profile, just their solo QID, it's not inspiring a lot of hope for an R5 pick here. So really kind of interested to see what Chief can do and what they're going to be opting for as we get into this matchup.
A bit of a lot of I was do you ever just really fall super hard for the hovers? Then you see Urgot.
Sometimes they have to be sitting on the hover for a long time though, because like if we're doing this where they're just like constantly doing the hover.
It is Urgot. Okay, yes. I don't know if I'm not the biggest fan of this pick here on side.
You sound like you're really excited for it.
Okay, no, in terms of winning the game, right? It might not be the best choice available, but it is Urgot. I just need, sometimes you need the initial reaction has other sides to it, and then it's like different. Do you ever get like an initial reaction and then like another reaction that comes in afterwards? That's kind of what.
Okay, you're getting the shockwaves of just seeing Urgot on your screen. I get it. I think this champion kind of sucks here. I'm going to keep it 100% honest with you. I think right now, from what we've seen from Gromboy's Clique, I think it's a bit of a greedier draft. I'll be 100% honest. I think the fact that you're going to be having Urgot blind now into a Shen, which is not a very fun match to be able to play out. You have Syndra versus Orianna, which pre-6 we're looking at Syndra to try to eke out a lane advantage and potentially help Nocturne contest for Raptors and maybe get into the face of Lilia early on in the jungle. And if we kind of get into a situation like we saw in the last game, the onus to be able to outplay your opponent really comes down to, can Gromboy's Clique actually kind of put it all together in the right order? Whereas TPF Tempest, they can knock out the lights very early on, which can make it very hard to coordinate. Shen as well to be able to follow up. I like how easy it is to execute, and once they get that first kill, you have Jinx who can go in for the resets and just take over an entire team fight. So Gromboy's Clique, if they're able to win this is more of a, complete, resume of we are that wholly better than the opponents. But, push comes to shove, if they start tripping up, if we have more of those instances where Drid just kind of dies randomly for things, we can get in a situation where we're going to a game 3 and that can start to knock on your points.
Yeah, obviously the game score, especially if we're going off of last season of Blue Water Diamond League to go off of the 6th place, the final playoff spot was decided completely on in the individual game score. We Love Solbert. I believe there was a 3-way. It was either a 2 or 3-way tie, but We Love Solbert, despite having not the best record on the match score, did almost always go when they went down. It was 2-1 every single time. That is what secured their spot. So if TPF Tempest do manage to pull out, it is definitely not something to sleep on or to what's the word I'm thinking for, to ignore.
Yep. And remember, we are only in week 2 of the Diamond League here, so still have a ton of games to play. It's a full 9-week split, and we're looking at their schedules for TPF Tempest. I don't think it gets a lot easier from here. Next week, they're going to be going up against Kediment. Then week 4, they're up against Akuma. Week 5, they're going up against Final Boss Diamond. So all in all, I think their schedule is only going to get a lot tougher from here. I think taking up some wins versus Gromboy's Clique and showing off some skills can definitely start to cement maybe a softer snowball going in. And we'll look on the other side, Gromboy's Clique. They're going up against Akuma next week. Then they're going up against the final boss diamond, and then they've got Mars. So thinking you're playing against the top 2 teams currently in the league, both teams that ended up going 2-0. If Grown Boys Clique can put together a couple wins back to back here, going into this and going into third and fourth week, the back half of their split, you have to imagine, is going to be a little bit easier. They've already faced against Ketamint. This is their TPF Tempest. And so that leaves, after the 5th week, their opponents to be Mars, Leviathan, Elysium, and then eventually a Mega Goobers. I think that that's kind of a really good setup and maybe kind of layup for Grown Boys Clique to make a berth into playoffs.
Well, we'll have to keep our eyes on that in the future. I have been made aware that from, if we take a look back to the Otter Talk earlier, is that Jockey has now gone 3 games in a row without any deaths on the side of Final Boss Diamond. Thank you, Walt, for the update. But with that little update there on Final Boss Diamond, these are teams that both these a team that both these teams are going up against. We're going to send it to a break for the spectator, but don't go anywhere because in just short minutes we will be back for game 2 between TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique. Don't go anywhere. And we are back for game 2 between TPF Tempest and Grown Boys Clique here in the Blue Otter Diamond League. And Well, this time around, Alk Battery, we're not quite getting the same level 1 nonsense that we had last time.
Yay! We don't get to see both of these junglers start off at a disadvantage. Honestly, again, that last one kind of put Drid in a really fine spot compared to how originally it should have panned out, but instead we're just going to kind of see not much to do early game. Obviously, both of these junglers really focused on wanting to full clear throughout their jungle and have it make sure that it's uninterrupted, uninhibited. And so I think our most fun matchup is more obviously going to be this top side. Chief, I think, has been a individually solid top laner despite being a jungle main. Or kind of, not jungle main, sorry, playing support as their off-roll. I think it's so fun going through these different team OPGGs because it's just like, I'm trying to look up what Sir Snoops plays in solo queue, and it's just, plays a little bit of Zillion, plays some different support champions, and then like 30 games of Kha'Zix jungle in a row.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like I can't use that. Like if we're being honest, like the champ is just not going to be played in support.
You
so
mean to yeah, I was about to say,
sad.
you mean to tell me Kha'Zix support isn't going to be a thing in the series? That's
No,
crazy.
it sounds pretty garbage. I like
Well,
this.
speaking of level 1, in terms of bot lane and support, level 1, it's something you can do with Rakan and Xayah is you have that super huge advantage of both take W there early on. And we saw a little bit of that just there in that exchange, and you know, pressing every single advantage that you have, it's always something to look forward to in these matchups. And speaking of advantages, we should be looking on a level 2 for the side of TPF Tempest, but not much going there.
Yeah, Jinx Lulu doesn't have a lot of teeth to bear in the early laning phase. They are double range, so when we're looking at this, typically I would expect that Jinx is going to be able to get early lane prio, especially utilizing her rockets. Xayah can try to counter and match that utilizing her feathers, but I think much more of a mana cost deficit in the favor of Jinx, where you can just passively auto-attack a lot of these minions. And they're kind of having a problem because they don't know where enemy jungle is. They put a lot of
will have to
wards.
flash and does drop a very early barrier as well. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure I'm a very fan of that. Perhaps it's a little bit panicked from the ADC of TPF Tempest, but that's going to be a disadvantage there for Joshua that can definitely be capitalized on in perhaps the next few minutes, maybe.
And look at where this wave is. It's just constantly stuck in. And once, you know, the 330 mark comes through, they'll have an idea, okay, Drid is not going to be on this side of the map. If he is, he's just completely trolling his tempo. Like, what are we doing in the situation? Once they kind of know, they have an idea, probably what's going to happen here is that Carbill and Drid are going to meet in topside river, trying to play for these scuttles. Nutty Nate did take a recall, so already has a bit of an advantage. And if there's any champion who really abuses the 3 HP on hit from Cole, it's going to be Urgot with the W. It's actually one of the pieces of Urgot tech that you can try to use in your own lane.
Speaking of advantage, Carbill will be slowed up, is forced to
Nice.
flash, followed by Nutty Nate.
Whoa.
Not quite going to find Carbill, but I don't think it's going to matter. First blood going over to Drid as they met up in the top side jungle exactly as you had predicted.
Man, that's such a good start here for Drid. Does get the flash out of the Urgot, but getting both of the first scuttles here in the game and getting Carbill's flash, very big win. Now, it kind of means also the mid laners are kind of stuck right now because Shanko constantly pushing in, got to play in that start, so he's going to be able to TP back in, and he's going to be able to constantly keep Crimson pressed in this lane, force out the teleport early.
Oh, it's a lot of damage coming through. It is enough as they find the center of that the Lilia W to get the kill. It does get traded back in return as now her does go down, but more kills over onto Drid is definitely going to be one very scary deer in this game.
Yeah, I'm already terrified. I mean, gets to start off with Faded Ashes. Also, just look at this minion wave bottom lane. This is disgusting. If I miss this in my game, I'm calling for a next. Like, this kind of minion wave is game breaking for a lot of champions, and being able to miss out on that, missing out on all of that experience that was also missed, definitely a bit of a hurtful one if you're on the side of TPF Tempest and looking at Joshua, who last week also had something very similar to happen to them in their Misfortune game. Ended up not getting too much of a crash, got a wave frozen on them, didn't feel particularly great, and Now you're kind of going to start to see Lilia really accelerate in her jungle path. Already has all 4 of the camps back up, and we're starting to see it's going to be able to race right towards the top lane. 30 seconds for those grubs.
Yeah, and especially with how quickly Lilia can start to clear away. Right as I say that, it's being scary. There's the 150 gold bounty that does go on top of Drid's head. Also, if this continues the way it is, Dark Seal in the inventory of Drid as well will potentially continue to just push this game further and further away into the side of TPF Tempest. Say that is going to be Shockwave used by the side of Grown Boys Clique, trying to find Crimson's knockdown there, but should be okay to at least push that in. I mean, Shockwave's a pretty short enough cooldown.
I mean, most of the time, right, like we're just using it to gain mid priority. Forces some of the pots out from Crimson. Also means that push come to shove, if Drid does end up making a move towards mid, that's going to potentially be the flash, and eventually Crimson might even have to use the teleport. Now, Crimson chugging through all those potions is going to be able to negate a lot of that damage, and I wonder if maybe there's some kind of opposite kind of recompense for mid lane, just because if I know Ori has no ultimate now as Syndra, I'm looking, Carbill, you're going to hit level 6 soon. I want to try to make a play. Now, is starting up on Dragon, but bottom lane here for Grumboy's Clique should have gotten wind of this, so they're not going to be able to grab that. Also have eyes on when his blue buff is spawning. Very good job from the bottom lane to make sure and protect the jungle.
A bit of a difficult situation. That being said, Chief will ult down here and force this into a 4v2, but won't find any kills at all on the side of TPF Tempest, despite committing so much for it. It should at the very least mean that they get that Drake. I do say that, but Drid is here now, so it is delayed. Pause. I say that, but they're not here anymore, and so actually, with how far ahead Drid is, Nahor will be taking down kind of low onto Sir Snoops, but I don't think it should matter for now, as it does force a flash out of the enemy support without much used on their own. So once again, another advantage going to the side of Grown Boys Clique, just adding to the list of things going their way.
I mean, they no longer have flash on Sir Snoops. You see Drid right here stealing enemy blue buff. Now it does have flash. Flash is out.
Find Drid. Sir Snoops is low. Sir Snoops, I don't think you want to be there with how low you are. Does go down. So at the start of this fight,
this is a kill.
Go over to the side of Grown Boys Clique. Crimson going low, going down. Nahor going to get that kill onto Carville. So despite Drid going as low as he is, it won't matter. Another fight going over the side of Grown Boys Clique, and it is absolute disaster for TPF Tempest here.
Not only is it another kill for Lilia, but now my mid laner has no flash. Oh no, Carville, it's not what you wanted to see. They even ruined some of their top side kind of plays to make that play on bottom side. They pull over the Shen ultimate, then he has to TP back up to top lane. So every single play right now for the side of TPF, just not working. They can't protect their own jungle camps. They're getting out-traded in mid at this moment. They're constantly losing the bot lane matchup. And so in a situation like this where it's all doom and gloom, everything's burning, none of your plays are working, you kind of got to be a little bit of a rat. You just got to stay in lanes. You got to make the play that may not be optimal in a lot of cases, but you just got to get back into the game. We also now have Carbill finally hitting level 6. So if he has maybe a super impactful Nocturne ultimate, maybe they can try to kind of turn around some of their luck, but as is, you've got Grubs on their side. They should very easily be able to take this Dragon, but honestly, I just don't think Dragon's going to be important. You have 5 camps to clear on Lilia, and you're just going to skyrocket in terms of experience.
Speaking of burning the house down, Leandri's Torment, it was an 8.5 minute first item for Drid, and if this... I know it's Nocturne's ultimate, that's called Paranoia, but, and most of the times I actually say it's probably the most aptly named ability in the game, but right now I do not believe that's the case with how far Drid is ahead.
So, contesting around this Dragon, they do have Shen ult coming up, Syndra ult is almost up and available. I wonder if they just try to make this play. They're down 3,000 gold, and really, again, a lot of this gold is in favor of Drid, but aside from that, maybe they try to look for something here.
Oh, here comes the Paranoia. Will be dropped. Will try to find it and make it a 2v3. Feathers will be called. Shen ult coming through. Will keep Carbill alive, and that's the first one going over to the side, but is answered back by Drid onto Crimson. And so it's 1v1 for now with
They can-
teleport.
they
The
can
way
keep
they are,
going.
teleport coming through. It's going to be TPF. Grown Boys try to push this further. Nutty Nate back up with the teleport and the full health bar. Chompers will push this one out. Away. That means TPF Tempest will be able to get away with the 1-for-1 trade here and around the dragon fight.
Yeah, it's going to be that dragon. They'll get the kill. Also, more importantly for them is they got the flash out from this Shen. Also forcing teleport from a couple of their members. I will say, not having flash on Orianna, also the Orianna Shockwave, I think hitting absolutely nothing there in that last fight. Shanku just kind of dealing with the paranoia, saying, okay, can't see anything. I'm just shockwaving him. Maybe thought that he had it on top of Nightmare, but Nightmare was also in the Xayah ultimate. I think all in all, still a very good play for them. And now it's going to turn into 6 grubs as well. So Drid, I don't know if maybe it was just the Hecarim woes or maybe just game 1 jitters, but he is putting on, he is just absolutely sunning Carbill. Like there is not much for this Nocturne to do. Lilia is already off to the races, and now has a 30 kind of advantage in the jungle. That's going to continue to build jungle. I mean, Lilia's not going to get any weaker. She's going to get more items. She's going to clear a little bit faster. She's going to do all of her camps. This is such a great position to be in if you're on the side of Grow Boys Clique.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're on the side of TPF Tempest, I mean, the only thing I can think of is the rescale. I'm struggling here to.
I mean, like we scale in the sense that like we can get 1 kill and it doesn't matter. It's similar to like the Blitzcrank thing, but I just don't think it's looking that good. Ooh, this is a great timer here. Carbill is gonna sneak in right as Drid has finally taken the recall.
Will find its way onto Crimson. Shanku looking for the solo kill, might be able to find it. Does get it now on the top side. In response, maybe we'll get at least a kill back onto the side of TPF Tempest. That will be Carbill picking up 1 in return, and so perhaps a few signs of life for the side of TPF Tempest.
Now, in terms of the top side play, that's an unfortunate timer. They didn't end up seeing Carbill, and now making this play onto mid, but everyone's here.
Onto mid, but as you said, everyone is here, including Nahil.
What the
and
flash?
Carbill will be burned down, but you won't get away too much damage coming through as the Ignite ticks down onto Carbill, and that will be traded back in return.
There we go. So not only does Shanku get the solo kill in mid, now they've also killed Carbill again. Now we've got Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. Not having that flash on Nocturne is going to feel super painful coming into this next fight. Crimson could find a solo here if he lands a little bit more damage. Has ultimate.
Does have flash
there
and
it
ulti
is.
will come through. There it is. But meanwhile, straight over to the bottom side. Sir Snoops does have barrier.
Shen ult.
We'll keep him alive a little bit longer. And Shin is here to try to turn this one around. Now here going low. Joshua does pick up that first kill. And Drid is going low. That is a huge shutdown potentially available. But Drid is too fast. I say that Carbill's here. Will Drid get out? Drid flash forward from Joshua. That is a massive shutdown for the Jinx.
Nightmare.
Nightmare does get 1 back in return at the very least. But this could be a huge amount of gold going on to the ADC of TPF Tempest, and I say we scale. Well, a few kills onto your Jinx will help with that here for about 14 minutes in.
The curse of Drid has struck again. They ended up making a huge play on bottom side by pulling Shen over. It's going to be a very early turret right before the plates go down. It's going to be 5 plates here for Nutty Nate, utilizing the Urgot as well as having those 6 grubs. A lot of gold now inside of this Urgot. Can he be a menace? We'll see what happens in team fights, but you have some fairly immobile champions that make it very easy for Urgot to try to continue to operate, and I love what we're seeing from here. They move through mid support, walk in, they get vision, they know exactly where Carbill is now. We'll also be able to get spot on this ward, but it's going to turn into, say, hey, look, we made a mistake on the bot lane play. Let's get the Herald. We have Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, almost like a beat is not missed by Grown Boys Clique.
Yeah, and it's that, as you said, not a beat miss. It's they do have that goldly, but it's easy to fall into the pretty easy to fall into a little bit of a defeatist mindset. But clearly they have not done that so far. Picking up that Rift Herald, and I should imagine that at some point we'll go mid to open up this map just that much more to the side of Grown Boys Clique. So, and despite that blunder, they are about 4K up. 15 minutes in is that amount of damage onto Nahor, though. Does look a little bit dangerous for a potential upcoming fight.
Oh, wait, he's just dead.
I say Crimson's just dead. Crimson is nowhere to go. Drops the ultimate onto Drid. Not really going to do any sort of damage whatsoever. So a member down. You have to figure that this will be Drake number 2 going over to the side of Grown Boys Clique.
they were getting some okay chip damage on support and trying to look for maybe if Nahor could go down, but now they've gotten rid of Crimson. They also really got a nice chunk, onto Sir Snoop, so opens up so much space, gets themselves the second dragon here.
Oh, I don't know if you want to be here if you're
Carville
already taken down to half health, and that is nothing you can do with that spell shield against Urgot, as Carville just gets taken down with hardly any effort whatsoever from Nutty Nate in the solo kill.
God. I mean, you can just tell the difference in jungle right now. If I press tab, my jungler still has the jungle item. Drid does not. Okay, nice. So we're in that situation of the game. 139 at 16 minutes, almost going for some Chovy-like farming in the jungle.
Oh my gosh, Joshua's taken down to half
dead.
health. There's not much you can really do. The Chompers will save him for now. Flash forward from Shanku to try to find this kill. Taking 2 tower shots. Very dangerous from Shanku. Super Mega Death Rocket going close, but not quite finding that. As close only counts in hand shoes and horse grenades.
And very good there. I mean, it turns into you getting the flash out from Shanku, so a very good win for TPF Tempest. They don't trade a ton, it's just the Jinx ultimate, but that cooldown you're willing to sacrifice at a moment's notice. So he's going to continue to be able to also pick up this next wave. So if you take a look, so sitting on 1,300 gold, kind of a bad base here. So he's gonna have 1,200 gold. Could sell the D blade to try to get the BF sword, but I think the 80 HP is definitely still much more worthwhile when you look at how much of a high barrier of execution that. Think about the damage that Gromboy's Clique are going for here. So instead, only gonna spend for the pickaxe. Think perfectly fine. Just kind of sucks. You really want to be able to hit that BF blade, especially when you're 50 gold off. But we have Dragon spawning in 3.5. We've got a Rift Herald, or we've got the Baron, spawning in 2.5 minutes. I think when we're looking at where the state of this map is, I love what we've been seeing from Gromboy's Clique, which is take advantage, kind of send each other in pairs, go into enemy jungle, get vision, and then establish dominance by continue to try to utilize some of the item advantages we have in lane.
Yeah, and especially it is allowed with... Oh, wait, I saved this. We've paused for a second. Carbill's taken low in a potential 1v2, and actually I say 1v2, it's 2v2. Drid's here, flash away, but you can't flash away from the fear beyond death, as that's the first kill in this exchange, where you move right over to the mid lane as we have a 3v3 coming through, closed down, and as they thought it was going to be a numbers advantage, but it's not that for long, as it's another kill going over to the side of Gromboy's Clique as they press their lead further and further as they go up to about 7k gold advantage just 18 minutes in.
Wow. Incredibly dominant here. They're going to have to try to, if you're TPF, I mean, the game has just gone by you so incredibly fast. Crimson almost goes down here.
Oh, you say almost, this just might be it. Will be put to sleep from the lilting lullaby taken low. The bird should be enough onto Crimson, but it might be a little bit too far from Jid.
There it is, that's
one.
one.
It does get the kill in return onto Joshua, but it's too far from Chief. His health bar was way too low, very tanky very tanky, so at least somewhat tanky at this point when your health bar is that low and you have an warrior on the enemy team without really any sort of magic resist. There's not much you can do, and Carpet will try to extend this a little further.
The Urgot is ending the game.
Fine. Like, Carbill's low, but I mean, you say Urgot's ending the game, does take a break from that. Carbill's still bit of a
what are we doing,
split
Sean?
decision.
Sean?
What are we doing? There,
Sean?
okay, there it is.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
I was a little worried there. Sean was definitely aiming for the phantoms. You know, he was looking at the poros that are surrounding him and he's kind of throwing around the Orianna ball. But they make do. They end up getting a couple kills. They break open 2 different inhibitor lines. So they get the mid-tier, or the top tier 3. The mid-tier 3 is, particularly healthy, but I imagine that's going to be going down in a future play. They've got Dragon spawning in a minute. It's not going to be soul points, so if you're on the side of TPF, if you're a TPF Tempest fan, you kind of are just going to say, look, let's give up this Drake. We don't need to fight. Let's get our jungle camps, which have been so heavily contested here, and maybe just try to get ourselves back in the game. Let's try to get to our 2 items and pray that that kind of power spike when the Baron spawns, when you try to contest on something, is going to be enough. I mean, hey, we're going to have our Jinx with 2 items. We're going to have Syndra potentially with 2 items. That's, I think, is going to be the point where that's kind of it. I don't see this game going particularly long, especially at the pace that it has been. 9,000 gold lead here at 20 minutes. You are hoping for not only a miracle, but a throw. Like, you need the enemy team to be able to give you some freebies.
Yeah, it doesn't... For a second, I thought there wasn't going to be any letting up there as Drid came hopping straight into that top lane super fast, but at the very least, that does give some knowledge that the jungler is on the opposite side of the map. Forward side of TPF Tempest, they can look for something here. Speaking of something, they're going to try to find the ult onto the Orianna. The fear will come
They're using
through,
Shen ult as well,
Steve comes
Jesus.
down, and that will be the Stand United used, and will be the kill onto any mid laner for this upcoming dragon fight, which has spawned just now. So 5v4 with full health bars over the side of TPF Tempest. This just might be the angle they need. Sunned up onto Nutty Nate, not quite going to be able to get snared up.
No smite on Carbill here.
now.
Wait a minute. There's no smite on Nocturne.
Oh, there isn't.
We should
Oh,
not be contesting this.
Dude, you're
Like,
right.
they're trying to buy time. It should be 10 seconds here. They don't have any eyes on Lulu, but we need to be watching how Drid is able to maintain movement speed here on Lilia. 8 seconds before Shanku's back up, and you'll have teleport quickly after that too.
Well, it's going to be a little bit less time for that available. They'll go for it now. It's going to be Chief taking low. Smite coming through as it wasn't available, as you said, and it's not enough damage this early on. The Redemption will find the full heal on
winning
the
it.
5. They're finding it. They find
There's
3
resets.
Crimson with the incredible play. Finding 3 there, ensuring that this fight will go outside of TPF Tempest. Drid going low. Should be able to be fast enough, at least temporarily. Won't get slowed up there, nor is going to be caught out by the
but
top.
Shanku's here.
Is back up and should be able to find Chief. Does get one in return. Drid going low. Was damaged though under
Dude,
that
what is
tower,
this
so
champ?
can't find the execute. Drid finally not
Oh my
going down
God, he
as
lives.
Shanku is here, and my goodness, I don't believe it. Drid is out alive.
Okay, but Joshua got so many kills in that last fight. They didn't lose too much of their base. They only took, if you're on the side of on the side of Grown Boys Clique, they've got the kills. They've also got the dragon set themselves up. But if they get this on the Shanku, that's huge.
Shanku, and that is the that is the shockwave going to be completely negated by the spell shield on Carbill. So yet another kill going on the side of TPF Tempest. And so despite this 9k gold advantage that they've maintained, they haven't really been able to, I mean, we say 9k is still a huge advantage, don't get me wrong, but that's about where it was 2.5 minutes ago before that dragon fight, despite getting that really early portion of the fight kind of going their way. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Carbill won't have the paranoia available for any potential dragon take Baron in these next few minutes, as it is now live.
We'll see if they can try to make sure of another Nocturne play. I like the idea of it. I just really hate sending Shen and Nocturne and just losing both of those. I get it, you're in a bad position, so maybe that's kind of the only way they're going to find that kill, but I think missing out on that Shen ultimate to be able to peel for one of your immobile backliners is going to be something that maybe haunts them. It is up and available. We're seeing Shen split on the other side of the map. So right now, for as long as they do not start this Baron, I think it's an okay play for the side of TPF Tempest. They're catching gold. There's not really any game state being advanced right now. Finally, we're going to start the Baron here. 23, almost 24 minutes in. After they finish this bot tier 1, I wonder if they're going to try to make an engage for the side of Tempest.
I feel like they should probably at least try, but it's a bit late. At least they will get the Executive Bounty, and oh, it's Sir Snoop's advancing a little bit too far, burning down, will dodge a Swirl Seed. That's going to be the Shin ult committed. But it's just going to be all very defensive. Both the Paranoia and the Stand United used in that fight for really only just keeping the support alive at the cost of the splash. So a lot of tools used for very little gain for being so far behind. It's struggles for TPF Tempest.
All of these abilities will be up. I think the more meaningful one is going to be the Stand United. At that point, I think you just have to let them die. Like, the Lulu's not actually contributing to all that much, simply giving polymorphs, giving shields. Really, this is a game state where if you are a Tempest, you really want to be making sure that you're getting gold and you're allocating it onto the right places. Where, as for Grown Boys Clique, they should just continue to take over the side of the jungle, use this Baron now to be able to push waves, and make it very difficult. Now, thankfully for Tempest, they do have Syndra, so Syndra can kind of like pluck those perky minions out of the minion wave if they need it. They don't actually have to step up into range of damage, but it does mean that Drid is going to get more and more powerful. Most importantly, how close is he to level 16 here? So, just now ticking over, has that third point into the ultimate.
Hop over a bit farther in. Will it matter? Going to be knocked away. Going to be use the... Oh, what? Okay. That's a
Wow.
lot of damage from the side of Shonky coming out. I thought the stun will be enough to keep him down, but with all this damage coming through onto the side of Grown Boys Clique, they have it all. That will be the kill going over to the side of Joshua. Will get that that reset now.
Joshua?
Oh. No. The grand entrance from the side of Nahor did actually find the knock-up, which was all the difference in that fight. I thought for sure that Joshua had sidestepped it.
Yeah,
but
me too.
That won't be that. Yeah, but what can you do? You get hit by that, and without anyone else available except for Carbill and Sir Snoops now, who will grab a short little shield onto his jungler. It's just not enough. If only Sir Snoop's alive, this will be Grown Boys Clique taking a dominant game 2 and the series.
Well, that's the Otter Talk predictions coming true. Everybody said it was a 2-0. I think rightfully so. The games that TPF ended up putting up last week were not particularly inspiring in terms of confidence, and we got to see it, I think, on show here. They had a much easier game to execute, but Drid, rightfully so, just took over that game, made sure that the game was all about the jungle. They said, look, if you had any doubts about my Hecarim in game 1, let's put that to bed real quick with a Lily asleep. This guy was super insane on the champion, and I think another situation where, as a solo laners, you did really, really great in terms of the matchups that you were given. And I know we haven't touched too much on Nahor and Nightmare, but both of these guys, I think, really held down what they needed to do in bot lane. They weren't expected to do all that much. I think the Xayah mostly giving their bot lane a lot of individual agency to be able to escape from dives. And so I love that. I think it's just a really strong showing from GBC, and we'll see what they can do going into week 3 into week 4.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know how to expand on that. So, yeah, I think with that, we'll send it out. For tonight, this has been Blue Otters Diamond League, TPF Tempest, and Grown Boys Clique. I've been Isaac. Alongside me is the ever immaculate Alt Battery, doing incredibly well tonight. And always behind the scenes, Wookie Monster, our favorite producer here. Don't tell the other producers I said that.
Oh.
But no, as it were. Thank you for tuning in and have a good night.